Okay, you can shut the door, babe. Alright. I noticed on YouTube there wasn't a whole lot of rip videos, so I decided to make one. I already started doing all the masking and the cutting and stuff, so I'll explain what I did. I used a clear frisket film. You can get this on eBay. Sticky Mickeys is the brand of the white paper type stuff, and then you got this transparent type that's really good for rips. So I recommend getting both though. They're both really useful. Alright, once you got it laid down, there's clear film on here. I got my base coat, and then I masked off the base coat and made sheet metal looking rip design type things. Now I'm going to add the little peeling part of the rips. So I'm just going to go up from here, my existing one. You just draw them in however you want, you know, it don't really matter. Just try to make them look like it's peeling. And you ain't gonna have to cut it right on the line, but just you want to get your distance right, you know. Whenever it gets down into the smaller part, you have to start bringing them in thinner, otherwise it won't look realistic. Just gonna do a quick little demonstration here, and you can kind of just play with it and make it your own. Once you've drawn out your design, take an X-Acto knife, and you want to cut right on the lines. This will all be done in real time. Make sure you don't cut too hard. You don't want to cut it in the substrate, and could cause your paint to peel off when you peel your masking off. I've learned that the hard way a few times. Like I said, it ain't gotta be perfect, but you want it close. Just give yourself kind of a reference. And at every seam, I make it, you know, pretty choppy looking. I make sure that I bring in my rip to that point. It looks more realistic that way. But you can pretty much just do it however you feel, you know. It's better to cut into the background color here than the green part of the peel, and you'll see why here later when I peel it back, because you don't want green to show. Or I don't want green to show, whatever color you use. I've already done all the other rips already. You could save these little pieces, and when you get done, you can stick them back down, line them back up with your pattern or whatever. Just keep them right nearby, and you could paint a little bit of black over it and give it a shadow. But I'm just going to do them really simply here. Alright, once they're all peeled, make sure you push down all your paper. It's not sticking very good in my base coat for some reason, so I have to constantly fight it. It's been that way on this whole project. Now I'm going to get my airbrush. Alright. Hopefully I went up to your face. Alright, the first color I'm starting with is a white. Because it doesn't have to be green. I noticed if you use the same exact color as the background, it has no contrast. In the back of it could be primer anyways, so it could be like a grayish, whitish color, or a sealer. You know, you don't know how it's peeling when your paint's peeling. You never know what's on the back side, what it'll look like. You know, it could be peeling up from the sealer. So that's kind of the way I got it looking. So I'm doing white first. And it's a good way to start too. If you start with white, then there's another technique later I can show you in the video that you can do when you start with white too. That's a good way to start. Your colors will show up better on the white too. It's a good start, a good base start. Every now and then I'll take my finger and make sure because some of it will try coming up. If it does, then you have to do some more. Some of the overspray you have to fix if it blows out. So you want to make sure you push it down right before you paint it. Normally it sticks better than this, but it kind of went on dry, the base coat did, so it's not wanting to stick to it so well. The smoother the surface, the better it sticks. You could use like a mini touch-up gun or something, or you know, something with a little bit bigger pattern if you got a large amount of rips, if you want to do them all at once. I'm just doing a little bit here for the demonstration, and I just do a little bit at a time too, so I can kind of, if I do a large area, I tend to rush it. So if I do small portions at a time, I sit there and I focus on that area and making it look, you know, detailed, and just makes me take my time. If you rush things, you know, it'll show. It's easier to overlook a large area, you know, small things in a large area than whenever you do it in small areas like this. And I already did some shading too whenever I was doing the sheet metal underneath. I shaded the sheet metal already where it looked like sheet metal was further back. That's something else, you know. When you see it, you know, just paint what you see. You know, have a reference picture and paint what you see. Doesn't matter if I push it down right before or not, it still tries coming up. Pretty, just really is not sticking for me. But it's been like that on all the other rips, so, and I made them work. A lot of the overspray that kind of blows up underneath the paper, and actually it's just been wiping off, so I've been lucky so far. You know, if you did mess up, you know, it's just all about masking again. Just about done. push it down, and the next second it bubbles up. Alright, once you got your white over it, I've been mixing a little bit of white with green. And I got this minty color. And the reason why I'm doing this is if you're doing a blue background or a blue paint peeling off, you might want to reflect some of the light. Now the light that we're reflecting here, I'm going to just assume is going to be greenish colored because of the green paint in the background. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting this as at the top where the highlights are, just a really white green, a really light green, almost white. Really, it just looks minty-ish. So I'm just gonna barely hit the tops where the light would be reflecting. It will look white probably in the camera, but it's very subtle, and you want it to be subtle. If it's too much, it'll blend in too much. So just hit all the tips. Like I say, if you do a blue background, do a little bit blue in your white. I mean, just a few drops to, like, just to give it a tint. Just barely like that, just giving it a hint of green. This process goes pretty quick after you get that white in there. And the way I'm going light to dark allows it to where I don't have to clean out my paint gun every time too. So it's something to keep in mind. Or your airbrush, whatever you're using. And if you do it the same way every time, it ain't going to change your color. Give it a little bit of shake so any little white in the bottom will mix in with my black. Now this black isn't just pure black. I mixed in some green to where, once it comes out here, it's almost like a really dark green. So dark it looks black. Alright, now you're going to take this on the bottom, and I put it in pretty solid on the bottom. You want it to be pretty defined, but don't darken up your rips. The rips will, if you go too dark, the contrast, it looks awful. I've already tried that. So just barely graze the bottom, but do it very, very intense. And you'll see why later when you put in your highlights right along that edge. Looks awesome. I haven't done it on all my other rips yet, but on this I will show you. Now I'm just putting it in the very bottom. Putting in a really dark line here. You want to go with the contour. Don't mess this up. If you do, you just got to go back in with all your other colors and blend them back into the original look. Try to keep it even. Alright. Now you'll go in, and where the rips are coming up, you want to kind of show that it's stretching a little bit. So I'll put in a little bit of lines going up, just every now and then. You don't have to be very much because you don't want it to get this too dark. Like I said, it'll take away. Less is more in this. And keep that white in there. It really makes the contrast for the pop. Just every so often in the bigger ones, the bigger rips, I try to go up a little bit with them. Make sure your tip stays clean. Whatever you got to wipe it off with. Okay. And once you got that in, it looks like a mess. But when you peel this back, it'll look very three-dimensional. And I'm going to use a heat gun. I call it a heat gun, that way it doesn't sound so gay, but it's actually a hair dryer.
That you stole from your wife.
But I heat it up so it don't peel the paint. When you heat up brisket paper, it'll just melt, it'll come right off. Usually. It definitely helps it. Of course mine ain't sticking anyway, but better safe than sorry. I was always taught to peel away from your piece at an angle, that way if the paint does try to peel, it won't be as I'm also doing a little bit of tribal work on the side here. I gotta fix some stuff on the tribal, so like that wiped off. And then it'll go better with a tack cloth or something, you know. But anyway, there's your rips. And, you know, it's just a basic, easy way of doing it. Now what I was gonna show you is a cool trick. Is if you zoom in right here. You take your razor blade, and I'll be very, very gentle with this, you don't want to push too hard. But let's just, you know, the light's coming down, or let's just say where your light source would be. It almost looks like it's coming straight at it. That's the way I've kind of been doing it. Maybe a little bit at this angle, you know. But let that light catch that edge. That way your the contrast here it'll be really nice. But you just lightly scratch that, and since we did white underneath, if you scratch it at the right, it'll bring a little bit of a highlight in here. And it's very subtle, but it'll make it separate from the black here. Right here. So, you just go over all of it, little details will go a long ways. And like I said, keep those little pieces, stick them back over the top here, and then you take your airbrush and you can airbrush some shadows on these. And that'll give you even more three-dimensional, look like it's peeling even more. But that's just a quick tutorial on how to do some rips, because there really ain't a whole lot on there, especially the peeling paint off of something. You see, it looks like I had the shading here. I might go back in here and kind of make that a little more defined, because you can after you're finished here. Just take that black and just go right along there, and you make it look like it's popping. So, well, I'm going to finish out the car here. It's a 99 Trans Am. Try to make it look like this lime green paint. I'm going to put a gold pearl over it. A light gold pearl in the clear coat over the green, and it makes a synergy green, but it's a lot brighter than synergy green. It puts synergy green to shame. So, well, I hope you like it. Any questions, comment below. Thanks.